Welcome back, my lovely listeners. I want to start out with an apology. You may have noticed some irregularity in my episodes last week. And every time you see that, you know that I am traveling, which I was. And I had some pretty long days that made it challenging to publish everything on time. I was on the East Coast, and with the time change, it was, yes, a challenge. But I got all 5 of them out anyway, although a little bit off schedule. And as always, I will share some of my travel experiences with you in some of the upcoming episodes. Often, I need to think about my trips for a while. I wait and I see what memories stick with me, and then I dig deeper to find out why. And while I'm still on my trip, as I'm preparing this episode, I want to kick the week off with a little story to which, unfortunately, I could not find the author. It's also a travel story, possibly even your travel story. It's a story of getting lost, of becoming comfortable with being lost, and of suddenly being woken up to rediscover that loss. The shipwreck. The only survivor of a shipwreck washed up on a small, uninhabited island. He prayed feverishly to God to rescue him, and every day he scanned the horizon for help, but none seemed forthcoming. Exhausted, he eventually managed to build a little hut out of driftwood to protect him from the elements and to store his few possessions. But then one day, after scavenging for food, he arrived home to find his little hut in flames, the smoke billowing up to the sky. The worst had happened. Everything was lost. The man was stung with grief and anger. "God, how could you do this to me?" he cried. Early the next day, he was awakened by the sound of a ship that was approaching the island. It had come to rescue him. "How did you know I was here?" asked the weary man of his rescuers. "We saw the smoke signal." How many times have you sent smoke signals, unintended, and rescue came when you didn't even think you needed help? This story rings so true with me. We fall into holes, and after trying unsuccessfully a few times to get out of our hole, we give up and eventually make a home in it. We make friends with misery. We get comfortable with our unhappiness. We get used to living with confines. And because we are such adaptable human beings, we become attached to our hole, our little hut, our small life that we created for ourselves, out of necessity, because we couldn't find a way out. Primarily, the story is about waking up to reclaim our life, to realizing that we may have settled for much less than we were hoping for, waking up to a long-forgotten dream that we may have buried because life became difficult, waking up to our own smoke signal, which we've sent, sometimes unconsciously, and which brings help in often the most unexpected ways. What resonates with you? Do you need to reclaim your life? Have you given up? Are you living a small life, trudging along because you think that's all there is? You fought hard for what you have and don't think there will be more that's possible. Have you settled in with your fears, your traumas, your frustrations, and your pain, thinking you'll never overcome them and they will always stand in the way? Then this story is for you. Often, life forces us into change by throwing some obstacles into our way. But when we had enough of adversity, when we failed a few times and had too many obstacles, we tend to give up and we settle. We stop taking risks, we play it small, and we become content with the little that we have. Take a look at your life. Have your routines become so ingrained that they make you inflexible, keep you isolated and in the safe zone? Then ask, what are you hiding from? What are you afraid to face, to address, or to investigate further? Face those fears and come out. Address what needs addressing so you can move past it. Your little hut with your few belongings. Take a risk and set it on fire yourself. See what will happen. Sometimes we have to give it all up to get it all back tenfold. Have you given up on your dream because of some of these obstacles? Do you think you don't deserve better? This job, this apartment, this partner, this is as good as it gets, despite your unhappiness. Do you believe life has to be painful, that it cannot be all bliss? Then this story is for you. It offers perspective, that any day something major can happen that sets your life on fire. Listen to the following quote. A lot of us believe that we are fighting different circumstances in our life. The truth of the matter is that you are not fighting circumstances. You are fighting yourself. The enemy is not the circumstances that are in front of you. The enemy is how you are looking at the circumstances. This is by David Goggins, former Navy SEAL. If you are looking at your life with a fixed mindset, if you don't believe change is possible, that there is some big magic destiny game in the going that you are caught up in, then your life will stay fixed. It will run its course because you are not doing anything to change it. Don't give up hope, ever. Always keep trying to change the direction of your path if you are not happy with where you are going. Are you sending smoke signals that you may not be aware of? Have you retreated from your social life because of disappointments? Is your health affected because of some traumatic event in the past? Are your finances in disarray and your family life miserable? Then this story is for you. Sometimes we set smoke signals without noticing. Others close to us may notice, but they may not always say something. Wake up by looking at the areas in your life that may need addressing. Where are things burning that need your attention? Ask your friends for honest feedback. Sometimes life sets fires without our doing. These are the major bangs: illness, bankruptcy, loss of a job or a loved one. And then we scramble, we stumble and struggle. And sometimes we get it together because we have to. But it doesn't have to come that far. Look today and find out where you are sending smoke signals. Help doesn't always come as easily as in the story. It is often on us to discover what needs changing. Have you given up? That's a smoke signal because you're probably not happy and fulfilled. Have you settled? That's a smoke signal because you probably have little motivation to try something new and adventurous. Are you limiting yourself? That's a smoke signal that shows in your constant longing and dreaming for more. As you start your day today, ask yourself, what area of your life can you set on fire today so that something new can emerge? Sometimes that's what it takes for us to see clearly. A fire, something major. Remember, sometimes the biggest opportunities arise from the most challenging moments. Much love, my friends.